with Sonia. TN Politics.
Welcome to TNT in Politics, your political right to know outlet. I'm your host, Edward Davis.
And I'm your host, Shamira Bay.
We, like everyone, is experiencing just some stuff with this corona. Yeah, it's affecting our technical. We're in the skeleton crew right now.
Okay.
So bear with us. But we got a pretty good show lined up for you today. Just trying to keep y'all informed and up to date, up to speed on what's going on in your world as relates to the COVID-19 situation and the politics behind it all.
Yes.
And so we got again some really good information that we'd like to share. And first of all, just how have things been going, just overall with you? And
I think things are getting crazier by the minute with the COVID-19. I actually had the opportunity yesterday to be in the midst of a press conference for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. And, you're normally crunched together. It's a lot of people out. In this instance, we were practicing social distancing.
Right.
And so they had us spread out 6 inches. Everybody had on masks. And so it's just a different thing, I guess, a different experience for me, especially with media, because it's just so many different things that we now have to take the precaution as far as safety. So it's been a little crazy for me. But, I be cute with my little mask.
Well, I've seen it. Styling and profiling.
Right.
Yeah, you looking pretty nice today yourself.
Thank you.
But yeah, and shameless plug. Doesn't your mother also make some really nice fashionable head pieces along with the mask?
Yes, she has been donating masks to Memorial Hermann Hospital. So shout out to Mom. Her nonprofit business is the House of Joy. And she teaches children to sew, mostly home economic type things that we don't learn in school. She teaches that on the outside. So the House of Joy is now making masks, and she's also selling them, but it's for donation to the hospitals.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's get into this show, because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yes,
on
I'm
the
ready.
Landscape. So
you ready?
Yeah. So I actually want to show this first little clip dealing with just the way people are behaving with this quarantine situation and these executive orders. It's just interesting because it just reminds me of something like, I don't know, something out of a movie. I just never thought we'd be in this.
It looks like a movie.
And it's just it's just really crazy what this is bringing out of people.
Right? That is the description. Crazy.
So let's go up here and check this out. I think you may have to fast forward it just a little bit. Bad, yeah. So let's check this out and we'll be right back.
How did they come up with this number of 6 feet? I think they just pulled it out of their rear ends.
70 Michigan people have died so far this year from COVID-19.
Have peace with one another and fight peacefully and prove how we can have rights like that.
Close enough.
All right, good.
Oh, yay.
Take it. Hey, give me an 8.
Here.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
Wow.
So, as we can see, what's interesting to me is just, I mean, these white people are taking up arms. Like they take this to a whole nother level.
Well,
like,
first of all, the country has given them rights to bear arms. I mean, it's like every city and state has pushed that envelope to actually have guns and things of that nature. And so then you start thinking about these type of times, and people are not right in their minds. People are going through depression. All type of things are happening, and you are allowing these people to carry guns.
It's just, I guess what's crazy for me is that I just feel like they're out, you know, in a lot of sense. I've seen situations reported in the news where, you know, young black men have gotten, you know, handcuffs for, you know, just being out feeding the homeless or jogging.
Right. And for no reason.
So
Skittles and a tea.
Will get you
Come on here.
gunned down, but they marching on the Capitol, fully armed.
Crazy.
And demanding that, you know,
You let them
do
in.
something. We're gonna do. Always gonna be some. We taking action. And I'm just like, it's crazy. Like you just to see, just to be, just to witness that, and again to see that there's a different standard applied to you know, to other people. And it's just so that's the craziest part to me was how they just walked up here like fully armed to the teeth, and like telling this governor, you gonna freeze restrictions up, or it's gonna be I mean, because again, my attitude is, what is the purpose of the guns? What statement are you making?
And what are you going to do with the guns at the Capitol? Like,
outside of clear intimidation,
what is
right?
happening?
I mean, you have to be trying to make a statement. So again, who are we trying to intimidate? You know, with these guns and these demands. So like I said, it's some interesting times, because I would have never thought in my lifetime that I would see a lot of the stuff that I see going on. Keep in mind now that as we are releasing restrictions in all of these states,
yes.
and as they are protesting and trying to bombard the Capitol with these rifles, the coronavirus positive people that are testing positive is on the steady incline. Deaths in most of the states are on a steady incline, right? So we're not out of this mess by a long shot, and there's a reason why the governor of Michigan specifically is putting this executive orders in place. And I just feel like, again, right now, at the last count in the United States alone, we were almost at 65,000 deaths. And crazy part about it is all that took place within like a month.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And my thing is, even if they exaggerate it, even if only half of those numbers are true,
it's still the number.
30-some thousand people gone on the face of the earth in 30 days. It's
That's
still,
a lot.
it's so, for me, it's just worth having intelligent conversations about this and being reasonable, even though, again, I understand a lot of people are under a lot of stress and pressure, especially when the bills are due. You know, certain bills don't stop, and your paycheck is stopped, or your livelihood.
Right.
But again, I think somebody put a statement on my timeline that said, I can't quote it verbatim, but it said more or less like, I'd rather stay 6 feet apart than be 6 feet deep, right? And it's like,
Well, that makes sense.
So, I mean, again, crazy times. Let's go to quick commercial break, unless you want to have something that you want to share real quick, and then we'll be right back.
No, I'm with you on the crazy times. You know, I think everybody needs to just take a breath.
Woosah?
Yes. Let's woosah.
Just don't breathe too hard.
Get yours in.
Just don't breathe too hard in my
But in
way.
your mask.
Just saying, like,
Get yours in your mask, okay?
and we'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
What we do. I look nice, I'm gonna look nice. But this is what I have a problem with. I have a problem with women asking me to buy.
We really believe that 2020 should be about vision, because they say that corrective vision is 2020. And so, new year, new decade.
I forgot it. We forgot it. So it's gonna be a little suggestions for today. So please call in, guys, and please let us know what you might be doing. Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Simon's Christian TV show. We on there,
And I'm your host, Shamir Baker, and this is Business One-on-One. Today, we're going to give you 10 top businesses that you can start right now. Number 1 is accounting and bookkeeping, business consulting, marketing.
But now, thanks to Donald Trump and ISIS, there's room again in the welfare line. I quit my job, I got a check, so...
Be there, or you ain't square business. Avani J Studio, the network that adds to your network. Stay tuned.
With my lovely co-host.
Coronavirus.
Man, this get beyond real. Like, I don't know how real it got.
Right.
And the crazy part about it is, again, is that they still talking about a possible second wave in the fall.
Right.
They're talking about this stuff will be around us for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
The Congresswoman was even talking about schools going full-fledged online, virtual learning and things of that nature. And, we're just thinking about these seniors that are graduating and things of that nature also. It's just a big, drastic change that has come upon us. I mean, we love technology and we wanted the technology thing to progress, but this is like
next level.
Yes.
This is some more shit.
Okay.
Some more. Yeah, but again, it's just I still feel like we got no matter what, and no matter how bad we want things to go back to normal, we got to be smart about it.
Exactly.
They're still estimating as much as 70% of the population eventually will come into contact with this, with this virus. And until there's a cure in place, which again, we'll talk about that conversation too with the so-called vaccine situation. But we want to go into our next little clip. But I think my technician is back there distracted. So we're gonna wait till this get pulled up. But just knowing all seriousness, like I say, that we're living in some real trying times. Some folks haven't even got their stimulus checks back.
Well, yeah, because that's a whole nother story. Like, they're also holding up some of the income tax. People that have filed income tax and were waiting or have received a date, like to receive.
So they pushed those back.
Right.
To get the stimulus money out.
The stimulus checks went ahead. And then again, like we were talking, some of the stimulus checks went to the entities where people got the money up front or the advance on, the money.
Block,
right. And so that's a deterrence in receiving it as well. So it's a lot. I think going forward, I would like to say that we just have better plans of actions. What if, a what if plan? Like, what if this happens? I would hope that we
don't
would,
happen?
right. I would hope that we kind of plan for those things. It's crazy.
It's just, oh my God. So we're gonna go to this next clip, and I definitely want y'all to see how y'all feel about this new method they're trying to use to detect coronavirus,
which is totally ridiculous.
And it's interesting. So we're gonna go up here, back to the screen real quick, and then I'll let you again. And then we would like for y'all to chime in, whether it's through social media or call. But we're gonna go up here real quick and check out this next piece of footage.
You guys
malaria, and even cancer. And I'm Barbara Lee Edwards. We use man's best friend to detect all kinds of things, including explosives and drugs. They can sniff out diabetes, Parkinson's disease, malaria, and even cancer.
Now researchers are looking into whether dogs can be trained to detect if a person has COVID-19. News 8's Kelly Hessedal spoke to a researcher in London who's currently studying that.
There are currently studies going on in the UK as well as the University of Pennsylvania. Researchers say if they can train dogs to sniff out COVID-19, they could be an extremely valuable tool in preventing the spread of the virus.
We know that dogs have got this incredible sense of smell. We've seen dogs work in airports. We've seen them look for agricultural produce, for drugs and explosives.
But can they detect COVID-19? Dr. Claire Guest thinks they can.
There's no reason at all why the dog couldn't detect somebody carrying the virus.
She's the chief scientific officer at Medical Detection Dogs, a UK-based charity that works with dogs to help detect disease or assist with managing life-threatening medical conditions. She points out dogs can detect diabetes, cancer, and malaria.
Yeah.
Where do we start with this conversation?
Well, first of all, for me, let me say this too. I am not an animal lover, okay? I'm not an animal lover. So, for me, it's weird that I would say this, and that's why I had to do the disclaimer. But, so if dogs are sniffing out the coronavirus, they are now susceptible to contract the coronavirus.
And we do know for a fact that a few dogs and cats have contracted it. That's
exactly. So how does that make sense? That's number one for me. Number two, don't bring no dog to come sniff me.
So the one sniffing you might bring the corona.
Exactly.
Put the corona on you, huh?
But I don't want a regular dog that ain't sniffing corona to sniff me. So listen, they gonna have to just stop.
It's just for me, it just bring back, like, I promise, it just seemed like apocalyptic. Like, it reminded me of like one of them zombie movies.
Right.
And you know how they got all of the barriers set up, and they got a flash in your eyes or give you some kind of test to make sure you ain't got the zombie virus before they let you in. Otherwise, they direct you to the concentration camp.
Right.
Because they know you're gonna turn eventually. I mean, you're gonna have these checkpoints set up with a whole dog.
Yes.
Sniffing me and pointing me out. He got it. Get him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they come tackle you and stuff. They were also saying that, like, about the airports. Like, they were going to start having, like, a separate screening where you walk through and they can detect if you have symptoms of some sort of the corona. And that was crazy to me. They actually showed some different things, like when people were actually walking through. And that was real weird to me. But I always go back, especially now, to the I Am Legend. it's like it kind of reminds you of I Am Legend when all the whole world was like desolate, and the Will was out there and he was like talking to the mannequins and things of that. And just like people are going crazy, they're coming up with all these off the wall type of remedies, if you want to call it that. And this is just
another one.
It's
among the
crazy.
Dozens.
Yes.
My thing is, I'm just, dog sniffing on me. I mean, like, that's just.
First of all, who thought of that?
Secondly.
And then she's co-signing.
Secondly, what if the dog had a bad day? Or what if the dog is racist? Just sniff me and give me corona.
Right.
Let me stop.
Okay.
I'm just saying though, it is crazy. And again, black folk and dogs, we got a bad history. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't really look good either, Yeah.
Let me stop. I'm serious though. This dog sniffing corona thing, like, that's next level. And you just brought the best point to me. Like, it's been shown that they can contract
it, right?
So how you gonna have a whole dog with corona sniffing me for corona, putting corona on me? Just another tip of the iceberg. So let's go back up and see what old Dr. Fauci is talking about. One of our leading experts on this whole pandemic and how to solve it. So one crazy situation after the next, but we're gonna get through it together, people.
Let's get it.
Well, it's a really important proof of concept because this is the first very highly powered, about 1,100 individuals, and it was a placebo-controlled randomized trial, which I've been talking about for some time now, which is really the gold standard of how you prove something is safe and either works or doesn't work. And although the results were clearly positive from a statistically significant standpoint, they were modest. The improvement was 31% better chance of recovering and getting out of the hospital. That's important, but it's the first step in what we project will be better and better drugs coming along, either alone or in combination, drugs of this type and drugs addressing other targets of the virus. So it's good news, but I was very serious when I said this is not the total answer by any means, but it's a very important first step.
The administration is seen to develop hundreds of millions of doses to be ready by January. Do you feel that's in the realm of possibility?
Yeah. I do, Savannah. I mean, I'm obviously part of the team that's involved in that. And the question is, you always have to say you want to get a vaccine that is safe and that's effective and that you can scale up rapidly. So what the plan is right now, as I mentioned to you a couple of times on the show, we're in the early phases of a trial, phase 1. When you go into the next phase, we're going to safely and carefully, but as quickly as we possibly can, try and get an answer as to whether it works and is safe. And if so, we're going to start ramping up production with the companies involved. And you do that at risk. In other words, you don't wait until you get an answer before you start manufacturing. You, at risk, proactively start making it, assuming it's going to work. And if it does, then you could scale up and hopefully get to that timeline. So we want to go quickly, but we want to make sure it's safe and it's effective.
Remembering Black Wall Street. Well, remdesivir. I mean, I think it's just interesting again that we're so desperate for answers that we're okay with a remedy that only increases the chances of recovering.
Right. Not curing, recovering.
Right, not preventing you from getting, not again a cure, but just recovering after you already been infected and suffering some serious, side effects or the results of what the virus does to people, to human beings. And then of course they also have, I believe it was around 100 different experimental tests they're doing, and eight were like in an actual experimental phase, right? Testing phase. And this one, they actually have a company that, by the way, up to this point has had no nothing they've done has been approved by the FDA since they've been in business, from what I understand. But they've been given the bulk of the contract to produce this cure.
Wow.
Don't ask me what the politics is behind.
And nothing has been approved.
Don't ask me what the politics is behind that, how they got the contract in the first place, and why they have been chosen. And this is what Dr. Fauci was talking about. Is supposed to be what they're going to try to ramp up and have hundreds of millions of sample, of the antibody or whatever, the antidote available, the vaccines. For humans around January.
And not the cure.
And then even with this, they don't know if it's even going to work.
So I'm calling conspiracy.
My thing is this. So I'm going to tell you.
Because they're trying to make everybody take this vaccine to see if it's going to work. Something don't just sound right.
So my question for you is this, Ms. Bake.
Yes.
Because for me, I feel like it's kind of like a catch-22, because it's like we're not going to get back to normal unless there's a vaccine. But what happens when the vaccine is available and then they say, before everything's back open, including schools, before your children go back to school, they got to get this vaccine. What do parents do?
That's because that's when you learn the law and you know the law. And the law states that you do not have to. Your children do not have to have the vaccine if you have the affidavit and you actually follow through with the protocol of the law. You don't necessarily have to have those vaccines. Now, if you want to follow protocol, that's totally at your discretion. There's also then the option of homeschooling your child, which I am pushing forward to, not for the parents that really don't have the time and that cannot do it and go to work for a living, but those parents that are entrepreneurs and have the time and are able to incorporate learning, living, life, wealth, legacy into their children. I feel that we do need to. There has been a dynamic change in the structure of education, and this is my thing. I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's been It's been a real structural change. Even the teachers are now coming out of college. They're 25, 30. They're really, really young teachers. Whereas when we were coming up, our teachers were older. They cared more. It wasn't just about getting a paycheck. Our teachers would volunteer to teach. So it was just a whole different dynamic of how the millennials and the ones under them are coming up. And so I would opt out to take my children out of the public school system, even the private school sector, because in the private schools, it's a little bit more structured and strategic on what they're teaching them as well. And so that's just my take on that. And there is a law that you do not have to get that vaccine.
Love it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I wouldn't let my son get vaccinated, but the homeschooling part. I mean, even though I feel like he's actually getting a better quality education with us than he was in school, because me and his mom are just like so on top of it.
Right.
But then there's the piano, the Spanish, the
robotics, extra things.
The other stuff. That
ain't gonna work.
I would rather somebody else be teaching him. It's only so far I can go. But it takes dedication, commitment on a whole nother level, and unfortunately, some parents don't have that luxury.
Right.
Like they have to go to work, they have to,
Exactly.
And so, but my thing is, I would definitely let my child get vaccinated because, first of all, kids are not even dying from this. It's only the risk that we bring it home to us. So I think if you practice the proper precautions, vaccination is not necessary for children. So
that makes sense.
That's my take. But we're gonna go to a quick commercial break. Come back again. Just letting y'all know what's going on. This is again, and some of those decisions aren't easy decisions.
Choices, honey.
But it's still your choice.
Come on.
Right. So we'll be back at this commercial break.
It's Boss Up Houston Network. Tune in to Boss Up Houston. The Naked Truth. Vibrations from the soil. The Simon's Christian TV show. with Sonia. TN Politics. It's the Naked Truth Network and Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
This is what I need for you to do. I need you to hold your breath until you can't hold it anymore. And then I want you to get up and get out and get it.
Now I'm a man, same stand with the game plan.
Man, if you want it to breathe, let's go. Woke up every day, something to prove. I just trust in my eyes, think what I'm gonna do. Keep going ride on the way through. The dream I did, and I made it. Poof, aim for the sky, then I fly the roof. It was your doctor, just stop your move. This dark, where y'all feel like Snoop. I didn't give a fuck, he gave her two. He fought 9 times, get back up 10. About what's best for us to win. Don't think that you did.
Let's talk about procrastination. It is the dream stiller, the dream killer. This one word has stolen more dreams than a lack of money, talent, and resources combined.
What you waiting on?
Hey. I sound like Fat Albert.
Yes.
Y'all don't know about it. Some of y'all are lost. You don't have
Like,
a clue.
who is that?
You don't have a clue who that is. That's okay. It's okay, new generation. Before we left, we were just talking about, again, Dr. Fauci, the vaccine situation, your COVID sniffing dogs, people storming the Capitol with pistols and rifles, demanding that they be freed to die. And a lot of good stuff that you shared just about homeschooling and all of that stuff. So we're going to come into this last segment, which is definitely your strength.
Yes.
So I just want you to kind of, I guess, kind of tie things in, and then we'll get into this last segment.
So, I just thought a lot about the Black Wall Street because we are in a time where we are shifting to different things, trying to figure out, what's our next move. People that have lost jobs, even with the schooling, they're going online. Everything is just kind of
with all the alternatives.
Exactly.
Looking for other options.
Right, and so I was just like, okay, so where is the Black Wall Street? And not necessarily, even though we are black, pro-black, because that's who we are.
No shame.
Exactly.
Unapologetically. Ain't nobody else apologize.
Okay. But where is the Black Wall Street? Where are the black banks, the black hotels, the black, so that we can feed back into our own neighborhoods, our own culture? Where are those? And I know that people have had pop-up shops and things of that nature, and even events where it's an all-black event. But I'm talking about actually recreating the Black Wall Street, where there is a specific place where we know that we can go and our money is generated and regenerated and rejuvenated and reused and invested, and then buildings are up, businesses are up, brick and mortars are being made through the Black Wall Street. And I want to give you something because this excited me about the Black Wall Street, and this was something out of the Daily Story. And what they said is that the dollar in the Black Wall Street, it circulated 36 times before it left to the community. That was something to me. 36 times. So my $1 equals $36.
Love it. So look, in case y'all don't know what the Black Wall Street is, we're going to do a little history lesson, and then we'll come back for more of this conversation. Check this out.
Before it happened, Tulsa was the scene of a thriving, wealthy black community.
Black Wall Street was the most prosperous black-owned business district in 1921.
This was Black Wall Street. There were hundreds of black-owned businesses, everything from banks to pharmacies to the doctor's office. and black folks were making really good money. There were even 2 movie theaters, all black owned and operated. Segregation was in full effect. We heard that there was a gentleman who owned a plane. Is that true?
Simon Barry was a pilot and owned his own plane.
Black folks were rich here, basically. They lived very good lives.
Many of them, yes. Yes, which caused some envy and anger among white people who commented, how dare those Negroes have a grand piano in their house and I don't have a piano in my house.
1921 rolls around. What happens?
Some type of confrontation between blacks and whites was inevitable because of the racial climate at that time, because of the presence of the Ku Klux Klan in almost every aspect of our society. But on this particular day, May 31st, 1921, a young black male named Dick Rowland, who worked as a shoe shine boy in downtown Tulsa, went into the Drexel building where he had been given permission to get water and use the restroom. There was a young white girl named Sarah Page who was an elevator operator. And Dick Rowland every day would go into the elevator with Sarah Page. On this particular day, after the elevator doors closed and Sarah Page and Dick Rowland were alone in the elevator, a few moments later there was a scream, the elevator doors opened, Dick Rowland ran and was later arrested, and Sarah Page initially claimed that she had been assaulted.
Brown says Page never pressed charges, but authorities did, and the damage was done. By the end of the day, the rumor mill said Page had been raped.
As word spread, angry whites were determined that they were going to take matters into their own hands.
A large crowd of white residents gathered at the courthouse. They demanded Dick Rowland be lynched. How did the black community respond to that demand to lynch this young man?
They were willing to risk their lives. They knew that they would be risking their lives to help defend Dick Rowland. And thousands of whites gathered in front of the courthouse. A white man approached a black man with a gun. He said, "What are you going to do with that gun?" He said, "I'm going to use it if I have to."
The 2 men argued. There was a struggle over the gun. It fired. The white resident was shot. All hell broke loose.
Blacks retreated to the Greenwood district where they set up a barrier at the railroad tracks and were able for a short time to keep whites from invading their community. But because they were so outnumbered and outgunned, whites eventually broke through the railroad tracks and invaded what was home to Black Wall Street, the Greenwood district.
This was the result. 35 city blocks of the black neighborhood burned to the ground. Historical photos show black residents shot dead in the streets. The historical account is that at least 300 people were killed.
There were children that were here that had been armed by their parents, that had been told that they could come down to Greenwood and shoot and kill an innocent person. Those are the same people that we grew up with in our communities, that were a part of our society.
How many black people lost their lives?
There's really no way of knowing exactly how many people lost their lives, potentially thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
What is worse, survivors say they remember death not just in the streets, but raining down from the sky.
Many of our race riot survivors have commented that they remembered seeing planes flying overhead, dropping bombs, dropping nitroglycerin bombs.
Mrs. Hazel Smith Jones is believed to be the last living survivor in Tulsa. She's 97 years old.
My daddy wasn't at home. Just the kids and mama. They came and got us.
Was it white people from the city? To the fairgrounds.
And my dad didn't know where we were.
Did your family want to leave?
My mother, you know, with all this stuff going on, she thought it might have been safer with them taking us out there and being with more people.
Everyone called it a race riot. The opinion piece in the newspaper condoned it, calling Greenwood Niggertown. Do you consider it?
It was really murder. It was a massacre. My grandmother was awakened at night and just told to run. Just get up and run. and they ran. She was only 9. They ran for days. She got mixed up from her family and lost in a chicken coop.
Calling it a riot was convenient for a city run by whites. There's no statute of limitations for murder, but there is for a riot. For the black victims, it was devastating.
They never received any type of justice for losing their loved ones, for losing their homes and the businesses that they worked so hard for, that they built from the ground up.
Every insurance claim from the Greenwood neighborhood was denied. The claims totaled about $2.7 million. Black Wall Street did recover, but never to its former glory.
Do you think life is better for black folks in America now?
Yeah. Some places, yes, some places not.
The harsh reality and truth.
It's a lot to take in, huh?
Goodness. Okay. So I do want to bring some light, though, to the situation. I just want to read the article, a piece of the article. They said this modern, majestic, sophisticated, and unapologetically black community was built with banks, hotels, cafes, clothiers, movie theaters, and had the luxuries of indoor plumbing and remarkable school system that educated black children. I want the Black Wall Street to come back. I want to see it in its fullest manifestation, because it's just enlightening to know that we had that at some point, rather than being oppressed.
And the crazy part about it is we had it when we had so much less than we have now.
Exactly.
So our ability to recreate that is so much easier now if we pulled our resources together. And came up together.
Right, and just like we were talking about, with the Black Wall Street, we can now create businesses and create jobs and create things where we couldn't before with the technology. Like we were talking about online learning and recreational or different schools and things that some of you guys can open. So there are so many opportunities, more than 35 blocks. We could set up shop in every city.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Black Wall Street in all 50 states.
Listen. We're gonna move in silence.
So it's definitely something to think about, and again, I can only imagine where we'd be now as a people if those in those times we were allowed to thrive, continue to thrive.
Exactly.
And what happened to reparations, the repairs that need to be done to fix stuff like that never really got addressed and never really got justice.
Right.
And so that's the even sadder part about it. But just remember that this man who supposedly founded this started with 40 acres.
He had 40 acres. He moved to the town and set up shop. And I think that was just awesome, amazing. Something that you wouldn't even think that could happen back in those times. But we do have to remember that there were free black or African Americans. There were free Americans. And that's the, I guess, the leeway that they had to kind of move around when they were free. And it's a shame that jealousy and malice had to come into play with this. And like we were talking about, the monies that were saved, this is blood, sweat, and tears. The monies from working in the homes of white America or working as slaves. Exactly. And so this is our blood, sweat, and tears, and they just, took that away. And
again, now we are the perpetrators. So again, we
do it to ourselves.
So the one thing about me is I'm balanced. I definitely understand what we've been through as a people, but right now, it's time to stop pointing fingers and start figuring out what should we be doing for ourselves, right, to correct what's been done. Because right now, we hate each other more than anybody hates us, and it shows in how we treat each other and how we don't support each other.
Right.
You know,
right.
So when we start pulling together like other people that come into our community and pull together, because again, we talking about politics here, right? Everything is politics.
Everything.
And just know that your money is definitely politics.
That's
right?
the main.
Oh, that's why I like away from the stimulus checks right now and the SBA loan. It's politics. Trust me. That's why Trump want to sign his name on that check to make sure you remember him when it's time to vote.
Did you get the letter?
Don't think your money ain't politics. Don't think the economy ain't got a lot to do. Matter of fact, the governor of Michigan, that's what she keep emphasizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to get back to work, and you're using Trump is kind of like using her as a scapegoat and talking about the economy, and she's like, I'm not gonna let you politicize people's lives.
Come on.
Every life in this state is important to me.
Right.
And so I'm gonna do what's important for every person, not just what's important for your pocket and the economy. So just understand that the economy is politics. And when we start acting like other people that have come over here from cross seas, get a loan, stay 20 deep in one house, buy the next house, then the next house after that, before you know it, they got the whole neighborhood locked down. Right. They go in and buy a gas station, then buy another gas station. For long they own 20, 30 of them, and they just get Habib to run one, Suleiman to run the next one.
Come on.
Before you know they balling. But they understand the necessity for delayed gratification.
Exactly.
Pull the resources together, make them sacrifices, right? And it's like my old philosophy. I'm gonna work like a dog for the first 5 years so I can live like a king for the rest of my life.
Come on.
The sacrifice got to come early.
Yes.
But a lot of us, we with that microwave mentality, that quick fix, and we don't want to make the sacrifice to be great. And we don't support each other in being great, right? So this is, again, something for y'all to feed on. My host brought the business. This Black Wall Street was our idea, and it's definitely, it's information that's necessary. Because we have to start thinking differently, especially now. Like she said, this is the time to start trying to be an entrepreneur, figuring out how to get online and do some things. Like I was explaining to her, my son does piano in Spanish, and that stuff is a very good business that online, right? I Zoom meet with his piano teacher. She can see him, he can see her, she can see where his hand is on the keys. She can tell, she instructs him in music theory and both in going through songs that he's learning as he's getting more proficient. And again, very viable business that they converted completely to online. So you need to start investigating that, start breathing life into your own vision and manifesting your own destiny in a way that you in control of your destiny, not allowing it to be controlled by somebody else.
Exactly.
Who pulling the purse strings. And so I just think that it was a very good show, very timely.
Yes.
Y'all know what's going on. Let's start rebuilding in a different way to prepare for these times. Watch out for the vaccine and the corona sniffing dog. And I would advise no people that ain't white to storm any capital with a pistol.
Stay home.
You've been warned.
Hashtag.
You've been warned. So I'm gonna say you've been warned. We can't get away with walking with a tea and Skittles. Don't play. So, but again, that's our show.
Yes.
You got any final words to close out with? Again, you just
stay home. Go get tested. Wear your mask if you have to go out. Stay safe, you guys. This coronavirus thing is real, and we're praying for you, and we hope that you guys are praying for us, that we all come out of this thing together.
And greater.
Yes.
Then we went in.
Love it.
This is 1010 Politics, your political rights and no outlet. I'm your host, Edward Davis.
I'm your host, Shamir Bacon.
We'll see you next time.